we are always pleased to have our fine chief with us. Chief John Fitzgerald here on the MegaCast. Great to have you with us.
Good morning. How you doing today?
You know I love our fine city of Keego.
Yes, you do.
But to everyone out there who wants to come visit, we get it.
Of course.
We are the best secret in the area. But Chief, I feel like over the past, 3, 4, 5 years, people have discovered our secret. And now the big thing for them is to go out on the sandbar in the middle of summer. But there is the issue of parking in Keego. And, but you can't illegally park. Be respectful.
That is correct. We enjoy having people come to visit Keego and find out what we're about, and it's a great city to visit, and the sandbar is a good time for everybody. But we are a very limited parking city. Throughout the city, there is no parking on any city streets. It's because they're so narrow for the most part. We have to leave room for emergency vehicles to get through. So when the rules were made about that, it wasn't to keep people out of Keego. The problem is we just got to make sure the fire trucks and the ambulances can get through when they have to. So that's why there's no parking on any street at any time in the city. With possible exception, you can call the police station if you're a resident here. We'll talk to you about a limited thing. If you have guests coming over for a special event, we'll work something out with you on that. But other than that, don't just pull into the city and park somewhere because you'll end up with a ticket on your car. Or there's business parking lots, and most of them are posted as tow-away zones if you're not a customer there. And that is a private business decision. It's not the police department doing the towing, but your car will probably end up at J&J Towing in Waterford. And I think the minimum towing fee is $150. So that's an expensive parking space you're going to get if the business calls to have it towed out of there.
And we know, I think it was Jaybirds last weekend or the weekend before, because it was a busy weekend out on the beach. They were towing cars left and right because they have a business to run. They have limited parking there as well. I know B1 is another popular place where they park and try to go over to the sandbar. You need to be respectful, and we understand it's challenging, but understand that and make arrangements with the boat owner that you're going out on their boat with, that you need to figure out parking.
That's correct. And, we have great restaurants. I mean, the food's very good, but they have limited parking, Jaybirds especially. So they need that for their customers. And all these businesses, remember, are just trying to come back from the COVID shutdowns and a year and almost a half of limited business. So they need their parking to get their customers in there. And like you said, be respectful of private businesses, private property. There's also no parking on, there's a few empty lots around some of the neighborhoods that houses were on at one time that were torn down. It's a city ordinance. You can't park on a grassed-in lawn or one of those empty lots either.
Oh, I will say, what street? The street that runs along the brew house. I forget what it is, but it's you dead end into the little walkable bridge. So there is no parking down there, but there is one lot like a block over, and they have the biggest signs. And one year, a few years ago, I parked there because even for Keego residents, just so people know, if you're a resident and you live in Keego and you don't live on the beach, parking is difficult for us as well. We don't get special parking, and so I parked there, and I got a really nasty note on my car from one of the owners. No, it was from the owner of the lot. Because you see it and you're like, oh, it's an empty lot. But here's one thing for everyone out there who wants to park at the brew house or Jaybirds or B1s. They're hiring right now.
True.
Pick up a shift.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Go and say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and work one shift. And then guess what? If you're an employee and you say, can I use your parking lot? They're probably going to let you.
There you go. One of the perks of working for the company.
Exactly. So with that too, though, Chief, I do want to ask you, because there is a little bit of confusion. We only have limited parking. I know that I've been noticing recently, because one of the things that I like to do is I will park at, I think, is it Fran Park?
Friendly Park.
Friendly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Friendly Park.
And then you can, I blow up my raft through my little handy dandy smart car. I have a thing that works out of my car, and I can walk the walk to go over to the park. Is that legal?
Yeah, that's a parking spot. There's very limited. There's like 3 or 4 spots there.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be for use of the park, and that park I believe is connected to the beach there, so that would be legal.
So I do have a little sign that sometimes I put up at my car that says Keego resident.
That should help a little bit. Or just put your name on there. We'll know to leave you alone, Ronnie.
Right, exactly.
Well, I will say I think everyone pretty much in Keego knows my smart car. Anyway, not so much my SUV, because black SUVs, they're all the same.
the Bubbles.
But Bubbles, everyone knows that. Hey, Chief, though, obviously we're going into the summer season. It's just not the beach people and the attraction that Keego brings for everyone coming to Cass Lake, but fireworks, they seem to already be starting. What are the rules and regulations around fireworks in the city of Keego?
Well, the city of Keego is pretty much the same as the state for private fireworks. If you picked up some at Costco or Jake's Fireworks or whatever, most of the stuff that you can buy commercially at one of those type of stores are legal on certain days and certain times. Now, if you have somebody going, well, my buddy's cousin Greg can get you these cool ones that Zambelli Fireworks uses on downtown for the big fireworks show, don't do it. Those are illegal, and they're extremely dangerous, as a matter of fact, deadly. So if you're not a professional with those and have the proper permits and licenses, don't get anything that you can't just buy on the off the shelf at a regular fireworks store or one of our commercial businesses. But fireworks are only legal from June 29th to July 4th from 11 a.m. until 11:45 p.m. So limited hours, and those are the only days. Don't start using them before then because it's illegal. And the other thing is you have to be on private property where you're allowed to be to use them. You can't use them on public property, streets, sidewalks, school lots, church lots, or any other person's property without their permission. So remember, you got to keep them at home. And in Keego, fireworks aren't really a great idea to begin with because our houses are so close together, and we have a lot of trees and bushes, and we don't want to start a fire because it could easily spread from house to house. My biggest advice is to go watch a professional fireworks show somewhere.
Yeah, and the great thing this year is we know they are going to be returning. Otter Lake is going to be doing some. I believe there'll be some on Dodge from Dodge Park. Just go on to the Keego page or the Sylvan Lake page, and you'll see the times and the dates listed. And with that too, though, from a law enforcement standpoint, how do you try to enforce that? Because I feel like we're hearing fireworks almost every night now.
You do end up hearing fireworks, and you hear them from. They might not even be coming out of your city because if they're just across the border, you're going to hear them too. But if you have somebody lighting off a set of fireworks and putting on a show in the street, and it's outside the hours in the proper day, or like I said, they're in the street, give us a call. We will come out, and many times they've wrapped it up by the time we get there, but we can write them a ticket for it. And we don't want to be heavy-handed on our enforcement, but be respectful of your neighbors and be respectful of their property, because fireworks cause litter. When they go up in the air and blow up, all the paper parts and plastic parts fall in other people's yards. But our officers are also on the lookout for them when they're out patrolling. So you never know when we're going to turn the corner if you're in the middle of the street with your bottle rocket set up or something.
And we like that. Hey, Chief, did you see the story? I think it was Michigan State Police in Detroit. They found they busted the guy. He had over 400 pounds of illegal fireworks, all laid out on the front lawn, and he was selling them. And they were illegal, not even trying to hide it.
No, I didn't hear about that one, but I'm glad they found them. But those are the ones I'm talking about. Your buddy's cousin's friend who has a source to get you the big, cool fireworks. Don't do it. Mainly because of the danger involved in those things too. And
it really is, we typically have them in our neighborhood, but you have to remember the houses are so close. And, I worked at Channel 7 years ago when the weather guy, Rexy, bent over a firework. And it came into his eye and he lost his eye, so they're dangerous as well. So you need to be careful when you're doing this, but also respectful of your next door neighbors, because when we go out the day after some of the fireworks, it's just like litter zone. So yep. I'm the nice neighbor that I take them and drop off the litter back at the front porch.
Yeah, and you're right about the dangers of them. Every year, you're going to hear a story. Somebody loses an eye. Somebody loses part of their hand from something going off. They're meant for adults. They're meant for sober people. Getting intoxicated and using fireworks is not a good idea either. So you just have to be very careful. And like I said, the best bet is to go to the professional shows. And once again, unfortunately, in Keego Harbor, there's no parking to go to see any of the ones on the lakes around here when they have them. Very, very limited parking. But if you have a friend's house or something that they're willing to let you come over, come out and do that and watch them go off over the lakes.
Chief John Fitzgerald with us here from the fine city of Keego Harbor. And going into the summer months, do you anticipate this summer is going to be busier or not as busy as last year because we're seeing more restrictions lifted?
It's a two-sided coin there, because now that restrictions are being lifted, people have more options of things to go do, whereas last year was go camping or go out on the lake. You could get on the boats and be together out on the boats. It has started out as a pretty busy year on the lake with on the good weather days, and we expect it will continue to be very busy there. And that's where we need safety to come into play, because there's on the sandbar at Keego, you get people swimming, wading, walking between the boats, all the boats close together. It's a no-wake zone. It's a very slow-moving area if you happen to be there navigating a boat. And remember that if you're driving a boat, they have the same kind of laws about intoxicated operation as with a motor vehicle. You could be arrested, and it could end up costing up to $10,000 in fees, fines, attorney fees, lost work, and impound fees for your boat. And we don't want to have any on-the-water accidents because of drinking and boating.
You know, it's been so ingrained in us about designated drivers, but that same message hasn't seemed to cross into the boating world.
It's tough, because boating is always seen as a place where you can go relax, and you're allowed to have an open alcohol container on a boat. And people sometimes just tend to get carried away. We like to see the responsible ones out there, and most of the boaters are responsible in terms of not being intoxicated and driving their boat. But please don't do it, because if you, especially in the crowded sandbar area, if you injure somebody with the prop on your boat or run them over because you didn't see them, and there's little kids out there, there are serious criminal charges aside operating while intoxicated. Hopefully we don't have any serious injuries, but if it happens, there will be charges to somebody.
And we should note too, Chief, I was out there last week, and sometimes the boats are putting their anchors down in the sand, and the water's only waist deep. It could be hard to miss that anchor, and people could be injured there as well. So you need to be sober and paying attention, not just if you're driving the boat, but also if you're going to be out walking through the water as well.
Yeah, one of our most frequent injuries that our Marine officers have talked about over the years is people who lost fingers jumping off the side of their boat when their rings on their fingers catch the rail as they push themselves away from the boat. Oh. Kind of a gruesome injury to have, but another thing to stay sober and be careful about.
Hey, music, do you guys get a lot of complaints?
We do, because not everybody wants to hear the super loud music blasting, even to the nearby boats sometimes, but the homeowners along the edge. And if I think about it, once again, it's respect for other people. If you were at your house and your neighbor that lived right behind you aimed his speakers from his stereo out the back straight at your house and then put on music and just cranked it up, how would you like that? That's the same thing the boats are. They're in the backyard and they're right up there, and sound travels across the water. They're right there, and it is disturbing the peace. The actual law is we can't hear the music. I believe it's 100 feet from the boat. So if we can hear it 100 feet from the boat, you could end up getting a ticket. And I hate to keep throwing out there you can get a ticket, a citation, or arrested, but we do what we have to do to try and keep the peace for everybody around the area.
You're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Chief, just another minute or two, because I will say, anyone who's been out on Cass Lake, everyone knows Officer Cote, and he's always pretty cool. I think his rule is if his feet get wet, someone's going to the hospital or getting arrested. That's a pretty good rule to have.
pretty much it. If he gets his shoes wet, somebody's going to go to jail, or it's because he's trying to save somebody and they're going to the hospital. But you picked up on that. I like it.
I've done a few ride-alongs with him over the years. Let me say that. And with that, though, we should tell people, you be respectful of the others out there, but also the officers, because when they go out, they're so laid back and cool in dealing with people. Just don't be an idiot to the officer. But I will say, you guys had who was the officer out a couple weeks ago? Did you guys have a new Marine officer helping to fill in?
We have a couple of them. There's Officer Clevenger and Officer Downs. They go out together a lot on the Marine Patrol, and Officer Cote. So they'll be out there as often as possible. And we're not out there to ruin somebody's good time, but the biggest thing is be respectful of other people. Don't throw anything in the water, too. That's another one. There's garbage washing up on the beaches and floating around out there. Because I went out on the Marine Patrol last Sunday myself and saw the cups floating in the water. That's actually another criminal offense that you can be charged for if anything flies off your boat. So it's not even just throwing it off your boat. So keep everything secured there, and keep track of the cups and the plates from your pizzas and whatever you have in the boat, because nobody else wants them washing up on their shoreline or be swimming and bump into somebody's empty cup.
Chief Fitzgerald here with us on the MegaCast. I will say, one time years ago covering Jobby Nooner, someone was smart enough and they had a boat out there and they were delivering pizzas. And I'm like, one day I'm going to come up with this. Sure. I'm going to go to Little Caesars. It's right there in Keego. Buy a bunch of pizzas, go out on my raft, float by, and start selling them. $20 a pizza. I bet I could do it.
Good.
Wait until about 2 or 3 when they're hungry.
You could probably make a few bucks doing that.
Chief, it's always great having you with us. Anything else maybe you want to touch on before we say goodbye?
I'm just hoping everybody has a very safe and patriotic holiday coming up for July 4th, Independence Day. We want to have everybody, like I said, safe, no injuries, no fireworks injuries, no fires caused by the fireworks. We just want to smile and wave and be the nice police is how we'd like it to work out. Respect each other, and it will work out that way.
And always be nice to the officers, especially when you're out on the water. Don't be mean.
I can say this too with how things have been going in the country with the police departments and some of the media attention that they've gotten and kind of a bad look, and the people of Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake seem to appreciate their police departments here. I can say that I haven't been thanked in my 35 years near as many times as I have in the last year by our citizens, and we appreciate when they acknowledge us and say hi. We'd rather be friendly with everybody and have a kind word and a thank you and a you're welcome, and we do appreciate when people tell us that, and so it's nice to know how much our local area appreciates their law enforcement.
That's great to hear. It's great to hear because we know it's been a rough year for so many of you on the front lines as well. So, Chief, again, thank you for your time. We always appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a great weekend.
You too. Enjoy the sunshine. It's going to be a beautiful and happy Father's Day to you.
Oh, thank you very much.